All right, y'all. Courtney Kester reporting for duty. Do you guys even know what creatine is? Does anybody know what creatine is? One of the many things I do is work at a supplement store quite a few hours a week, and I talk to a lot of people about creatine. And generally, it's associated with bodybuilding, anabolic steroids, sports performance, generally. Creatine. So let's start off with some fun facts about creatine. As far as where the body stores creatine, it's in the brain and in the muscle tissue. It's a faster source of cellular energy than sugar. When I say cellular energy, I'm talking about ATP. ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Your cells can make ATP from creatine faster than they can make it from sugar. It actually has no calories, and it also does not have the same glycemic effect that sugar does. Creatine monohydrate in particular, as the name suggests, is hydrating because it helps you hold water, just like salt helps you hold water. Okay, so what does all of that mean? And besides the obvious, which we will get into, who needs creatine? Who can benefit from creatine? Creatine. Let's discuss the obvious first. Athletes, sports performance. And the way I like to go about doing this is using the analogy of considering a 40-yard dash in comparison to a marathon. That's to say anaerobic activity, which is activity performed without oxygen, versus aerobic activity, which is activity performed in the presence of oxygen. 40-yard dash in, let's say, 5 seconds, that's slow. That's actually very slow. Nonetheless, the point is 5 seconds going as fast as you can possibly go is very intense, almost like a 1 rep max. On average, depending on the individual's metabolic efficiency, these numbers will be a little different, but on average, within the first 6 or 7 seconds of activity, of high intensity activity, your body is going to primarily be using creatine as a fuel source. Your skeletal muscle is going to be primarily using creatine as a fuel source. Your brain too. So about somewhere at around 7 seconds, your body switches over to glucose for its main fuel source of energy. Now, if the intense activity or the activity that is more intense than baseline activity level continues, we switch into oxygen. It becomes an aerobic exercise, not an anaerobic exercise. Are we starting to see why people associate creatine with muscle building and bodybuilding and anabolic steroids and sports performance? Creatine is a fuel source for those activities. It doesn't necessarily mean you need it, but having more access to it or having tissue that is more saturated with it, in theory, is going to help you perform better. Not in theory, in practice. I mean, it's been proven. So another population that could benefit from creatine is more mature adults who are past the point in their lives of having to make quick decisions and fast, sudden motion. Older people like to take creatine because it can be muscle sparing, in the sense that if I have access to energy, I don't have to break myself down for energy. Muscle is expensive body tissue to maintain. It requires energy. So creatine can be muscle sparing. And since I'm addressing more mature adults, this is probably a good time to confront the controversy around creatine and the kidneys. Long story short, you should not take creatine if you have bad kidneys, but creatine is not bad for your kidneys. Creatine is good for the brain. So again, more mature individuals who are concerned about the quality of the workings of their brain, or people who are under a lot of stress and have to make fast decisions, or need extreme focus. I used to work with this guy who would put it simply like this. Creatine is to your muscle cells and your nerve cells what gas is to your car. Okay, it makes it go. He was actually doing keto since before keto was even a thing. And that brings me to the next population of people who can benefit from creatine. People who are on a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet, or vegans and vegetarians. Without diving too deep into what a ketogenic diet is, basically you're limiting your carbohydrate intake, which means your metabolism is going to need to learn to make its own glucose from other things instead of you ingesting it. So that's going to take a little bit of time, and your study buddy is going to be creatine. Vegans and vegetarians, creatine is stored in muscle, which means you're going to get it through your diet by eating animal protein. So you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, if you don't eat animal protein, you will be missing out on some nutritional creatine. So you might want to supplement with it. Anyway, think about what nerves are, right? Nerves send signals faster than you can think about it. And so they need a lot of access to fast energy. So, and then what do those nerves usually stimulate to respond to the signaling that's going on? Muscles for movement to respond to stimulus. I'm holding you on an angle. You need energy to be alive, and the parts of you that need energy fast so that the other parts of you can do whatever they got to do are your brain and your skeletal muscles. Okay, you have muscles in organs that don't need energy fast like that. They need oxygen, which is why it's important that you breathe well. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. All right, so that's the end of this crash course in creatine. To be clear, I am not a registered dietitian. I am a certified nutritionist. I've been a personal trainer for over 15 years, and I've worked in the supplement industry for over a decade, so I'm well informed, but I am not a registered dietitian. I do not intend for any of this information to be used to treat any kind of medical anything or diagnose anything. It's just me addressing the lack of information that seems to be reaching general public. Creatine. There are just so many good little things about it, and I think people should know that. So for more information, or if you need to contact me because you have a question about something I said or whatever, you can find me on Instagram. Just type in bit.by.kk and you're gonna get a bunch of different accounts. All of them are me, and some of them are public, some of them are private. Do as you please. Direct message me, we're good. You could also find my contact information on my website. It is www.bitbykk.com. That's BITBYKK. And I am gonna go ahead and make sure that there are some links down below to creatine that I think is worthwhile and that you guys might want to buy or not buy or give away for a gift or whatever, because it's good stuff. Anybody with brain situations, anybody trying to build some muscle, anybody trying to live their best life, get them on creatine, bro. Creatine, let's go.